Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about one of the biggest shakeups in modern finance. It's the story of how India's own payment system, UPI, came out of nowhere and challenged the global giants that have controlled our money for over 60 years. So, to really get how deep this change went, let's start with something kind of weird. Candy. Yeah, you heard me. This quote tells you everything you need to know. The system had such a massive impact that it even changed how tiny corner shops give out change. It's a small detail, but it shows this wasn't just some high finance thing. It was a revolution on the street. You see, for years, the big global payment companies had a huge blind spot. All the little everyday purchases. I mean, think about it. If you're a street vendor, a 2 or 3% fee on a cup of tea could be your entire profit for that sale. So for decades, a massive part of India's economy was just completely locked out of the digital world. And when a solution for that problem finally arrived, the result was, well, look at this chart. It's a tectonic shift. In just 5 years, debit card use actually plummeted, while UPI's volume went through the roof. It was a total flip of the script in the world's most populous nation. To really get just how wild this change was, we have to go back. We need to understand the giants who basically owned the world of payments for more than half a century. It all kicks off in the late 1950s. Bank of America tries this crazy experiment and just mails 60,000 live credit cards to people in Fresno, California. It works. And of course, other banks see this and panic, thinking they're about to be left behind. So they band together and form their own competing network. And just like that, boom, the two giants that would rule the world were born. And their grip on the market became, well, pretty much obsolete. If you look at the numbers outside of China, these two networks process 9 out of every 10 card transactions on the planet. I mean, just let that sink in. A near total duopoly on how digital money moves. And being in that position is, you guessed it, incredibly profitable. Visa's profit margin is around 55%. To put that in perspective, most healthy businesses are happy with 5 or 10%. This isn't just a business. It's practically a license to print money by controlling the rails of the global economy. So how exactly do they make all this money? Well, they act as a super secure but also super expensive middleman. The best way to think about it is like a toll booth on the money highway. Every single time you swipe your card, they're sitting in the middle, connecting your bank to the store's bank and taking a small fee for the service. Now, that super profitable toll booth model, it just completely fell apart when it came to India's economy, which, as we said, is built on millions of tiny transactions. That mismatch meant the country had to basically go back to the drawing board and invent a whole new way of doing things. Instead of trying to build another company to compete with the giants, India did something radical. They decided to build a public utility. They looked at digital payments and said, you know what? This should be like a highway or the power grid. A foundational piece of infrastructure built by the government for everyone to use as a public good, not a for-profit business. And this right here shows you the genius of it. Remember that toll booth? Well, UPI just built a direct free highway between banks. It completely cut out the middleman. Your bank talks straight to the shop's bank. The money moves instantly, and for you and that little street vendor, it's completely free. But even with this brilliant system in place, people weren't really using it at first. Old habits die hard, right? Cash was still king. It was going to take 2 huge nationwide shocks to jolt the country into a new digital habit. The first shock came in late 2016. In a surprise move, the government announced that 86% of all the cash in the country was basically worthless overnight. Millions of people have no choice but to find a digital way to pay for things. Then, just as those new habits were starting to stick, the pandemic hit. And all of a sudden, touching physical cash felt dangerous. UPI wasn't just a convenience anymore. It was a necessity. And the impact of those two events, it is honestly hard to wrap your head around. In the 2 years after that first shock, UPI usage exploded by a factor of 4,800. That is not a growth curve, that's a rocket launch. It's a scale of adoption the financial world has literally never seen before. But here's the thing. Winning in India was really just the beginning. This UPI model, which was born to solve a domestic problem, was about to become a really powerful new idea on the world stage. See, when Russia was cut off from Visa and Mastercard after the invasion of Ukraine, it sent a shockwave around the world. It was a clear message. If your country's economy runs on these networks, then your country's economy is subject to U.S. foreign policy. A switch could be flipped in Washington and your ability to transact could be shut off. And that realization kicked off a global scramble. What you're seeing here is an awakening. Countries everywhere are now racing to build their own payment systems to regain control, to achieve what people are calling financial sovereignty. And many of them are looking at India's UPI model as the perfect blueprint. This really lays out the two competing philosophies for the future of money. On one side, you have the old model, closed, proprietary, and run for profit. And on the other side, you have India's model, open, collaborative, and designed to be a public infrastructure that empowers entire nations, not just a company's shareholders. But this whole revolutionary, free-for-everyone model, well, it faces one giant, looming question that everybody's asking. How do you pay for a free highway? Running a massive system like this with servers, top-notch security, customer support, it isn't cheap. We're talking about 500 crore rupees a year. And for now, the Indian government is the one picking up the entire tab. So, obviously, the big challenge is finding a way to make this sustainable for the long haul. There are a few ideas floating around. Maybe they could put some tiny fees on really large transactions so it doesn't hurt the small users. Or maybe they can make money by offering other services on top of UPI, like credit. The key will be finding a way to pay the bills without breaking that original promise of being free for everyday people. And that leaves us with this final, really powerful question. What India is doing here isn't just about a new way to pay for things, it's a fundamental test of a radical new idea. What happens to the global economy when the movement of money stops being a product that's sold for profit and instead becomes a public right, just like a road or electricity? The whole world is watching for the answer.